Hi, Stuart here from Lawn Mowing 101, and today we're going to talk about whether you should buy a lawn mowing franchise or not. We're going to discuss the pros and cons of buying a lawn mowing franchise, the benefits of buying a franchise, the downsides of buying a franchise, how much does a lawn mowing franchise cost, and if you're going to buy a franchise, should you buy a Greenfield franchise or an established franchise, and what is the difference? And then I'll do a quick summing up. So when I started researching this topic, I was quite surprised because it seemed to me that a lot of the ones that I read that suggested that I buy a franchise were in fact written by franchises. And a lot of the ones that suggested that I start my own business were ones written by people that had a link somewhere on the page to learn about starting your own business. So they both seem to have their own agendas. So what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and be neutral. I've been in the industry for about 30 years, so I've seen both sides of it. Full disclosure, I've never actually owned a franchise, although I have spent a lot of time over the years in the back of workshops talking to people that do own franchises. So I've got a fair idea how they run. So should you go it alone or should you get a franchise? Well, every spring there's a lot of people that just get out there and start mowing lawns. They'll mow as many as they can. They don't care much about pricing. They don't care much about anything. They'll just go out there and mow lawns and make money. Problem is that running lawn mowing business is a business, and it needs to be run like a business. And if you're not going to run it properly, then the chances of you succeeding are pretty low, regardless of whether regardless of how many lawns you mow. So now the reasons that you should maybe look at buying a franchise is if you've never been self-employed before. A franchise is a really good way of holding your hand and showing you how to go about doing the business. The good thing about a franchise is it's a lot easier to start. They'll show you what to do. They'll give you training. They'll give you manuals, and they'll help you along the way. Now, on the other end, it has kind of got a sting in the tail, because once you are established, you're going to be paying those quite high franchise fees forever and a day. So if you've always been on a payroll and you've worked a job, then a franchise may sorry may be the way to go. It's because you are going to get that helping hand. Your chances of succeeding are a lot higher with a franchise, and I think franchises have something. Last time I looked at it, it was something like an 80% success rate. I do wonder about that figure, but I know that people that start small businesses that are non-franchised usually. A lot of them, I think about 70% of them go under or aren't around in 3 years' time. So your chances of succeeding with a business are pretty slim, and a franchise can give you a better chance there. Now, a thing is another thing to consider is that if you're going to buy a franchise, if it's pre-existing, they may throw you in at the deep end. I mean, if you go straight from working in an office to suddenly having to do 10, maybe a dozen lawns a day, you're going to really feel that for the first 2 weeks. Is going to nearly kill you, and then by about a month you'll be used to it, and it'll be a bit better. But do bear that in mind. But then you'll get the same thing if you buy a pre-established business anyway. A franchise may it'll give you a little bit more support. I mean, if you buy a business privately, they're just going to sell you the business, and then that'll probably be the last you see of them. So as I was saying before, it's fairly easy to start a franchise business, but the other thing that you need to consider is that they're hard to expand. It depends what your ambition is. If you want to just earn an income for you and your family, then a franchise would be fine. But if you wanted to maybe employ somebody or put another vehicle on the road or anything like that, then you're going to find it pretty hard to expand with a franchise. They're going to want you to buy more franchises, which means more franchise fees, and you're just spending more and more money. It can be a good lifestyle change for you if you have been leading a sedentary existence. If you've been sitting in an office all day, then it's good to get out there and do some work. I mean, while you're out there mowing lawns every day, you don't have to go to the gym. You can stay pretty fit as you are. So that's always a bonus. Now, one of the biggest benefits about buying a franchise is the fact that it's quite easy to get finance. A lot of the franchises have pre-made agreements with banks, and you can just go there and you can get the finance. Now, which makes it a lot easier. They'll give you the franchise will give you some sort of cash flow, and you'll take that to the bank. That'll be what they're expecting, and then you'll approve the money for the business. So it's an easy way of getting into a business. The operating systems with franchises are tried and tested over a period of time. They've tried different things and have gone with what's worked, and they've shut down what hasn't worked. So you've got they've normally got a good system. So you don't need experience, and that's because they have a good system. Because you can, they'll usually have manuals, and they'll show you how to do everything. So you can start with absolutely no industry knowledge whatsoever. So they're offering you full training. You get the branding, which means that people are already familiar with your logo. If it's something like Jim's Mowing, a lot of people know what Jim's Mowing is, and they're aware of the company. So you start a Jim's Mowing company, then you've got a franchise that people know. So it saves getting over the recognition barrier, rather than starting a business called Sam's Lawns and everybody's going, well, who on earth is Sam? I've never heard of him. How long has this business been around? Now, the other thing that franchises do is they do the marketing for you. This is a good thing and a bad thing. They'll do the marketing for you, but they won't let you they'll let you market yourself to a degree, but they won't let you go too far off the reservation. What they're going to do is they'll control what you're allowed to do with your marketing. So it does limit you in a way. Now, they run what they call local and national marketing campaigns. Now, the national is just basically about branding, and the local marketing campaigns are the ones that are bringing you in leads. Now, the issue is that if the franchise has got, let's say, half a dozen franchisees in the area where you are, then when they get a lead in, who are they going to give the lead to? And so the chance, sometimes leads can be pretty scarce. And the other thing is that if they're building another franchise and they've got a private guy on who's building up the next business that they're going to sell, then there's a conflict of interest. And in fact, a couple of the independents that I work with have told me in the last few weeks that they've had some major franchise that shall remain nameless ringing them up, asking them if they want to buy leads. And I said to myself, why is a master franchise trying to sell leads to independent lawn mowing contractors? Shouldn't they be giving those leads to their own guys? So I'm not horribly sold on that. I think it's probably one of the biggest drawbacks with a franchise is the fact that they're in control of your marketing, and they're pretty strict about what they'll let you do to market yourself. Now, one of the good things is that you have your support team, so you can talk to half a dozen other guys that are running that franchise as well, and you can all chat amongst yourself, and you can, and it's always good to have people that are doing the same thing as you, especially if they're in the same stage as you. It makes it even better. You with quite a few of the franchises, they'll buy your excess customers back off you, which is a good thing for you, because it means that you can package and sell your excess customers. Now, what that's supposed to be is it's supposed to be the customers on the fringes of your territories, but what it normally ends up doing is it normally ends up that they're selling their lower paying customers and customers that they're not happy with. And that can be an issue for somebody that's buying a franchise, because they basically are getting some of those customers. So it's a double-edged sword. And plus, they don't pay you market rates for your, if they're buying customers off you, they won't pay you market rates. They'll pay you a pre-agreed rate, which is normally maybe half or a little bit less than what you get on the open market. One of the other things that's good about a franchise is the fact that you can get local compliance with, with any laws or anything like that. They've got it covered. So if there's a new change with regarding accident cover or GST or anything like that, then the franchise normally releases something immediately. If there's any legislation that says that you're not allowed to do something anymore, then the franchise will work out how they can work within these boundaries. So in New Zealand, we had a big thing that with health and safety a few years ago, and there was a massive amount of rules coming, and a lot of the independents were running around trying to find out how they worked within this framework. But the franchises just did the research once and put it out to everybody on their books. So that is an advantage. Now, the downsides of a franchise is the fact that your payments never stop, and they can be quite expensive. I was talking to a guy not last night, the night before, that was looking at buying a franchise, and one of them quoted him, I think it was about $100 a week, and the other one was more like $2. And so that's a lot of money to come out of your turnover, and that's money that you could be earning yourself. It's money that you could be spending on marketing and building your business. So it's a costly exercise. It's good at the beginning, but once you're established, it becomes a bit of an Achilles heel for you. You've got no room to be creative. But this is the case with any franchise, and there's a good reason for it. I mean, they don't want a guy in a McDonald's deciding that he's going to chuck 2 patties on a standard cheeseburger to get more customers. I mean, you just can't change the rules. With a franchise, you need to work within the rules, and that's in everybody's best interest. But it is hard. It's a rigid framework, and if you're creative, then you're going to find this difficult, because when you come up with a new idea or a way that you think things can be done better, you're going to have to get approval, and 9 times out of 10 you won't. The only time you'll get approval is if they want to trial it, or if they think the idea is good enough to run nationwide. So another downside with franchises is some of them actually insist that you use pre-approved suppliers, and when you're locked into using pre-approved suppliers, it's a bit like going to a restaurant on a cruise ship. You can't go to a restaurant that's not on the cruise ship. I mean, the prices are what the prices are, and it's the same with if you've got authorized suppliers and they decide what the prices are. You might be able to get better prices elsewhere, but you can't use them. So I'm not too happy about that. I'd rather be able to go to where the prices are best. I mean, that's what's best for my business. Now, some of them have a guaranteed income. they'll say to you, if you join up with us, we'll give you, you know, $2,000 a week or whatever. Now, there is an issue with guaranteed incomes, and that's the fact that a lot of them say that you need to accept all the work that comes in. So if you've got a customer that's really hard to work with, and a real slow payer, and you're not having a good experience with this customer, if you get rid of them, they may come off your guaranteed payment. So be careful about it. Have a read of the clause and find out exactly what the conditions are with this guaranteed payment, because you don't want to find that that you're locked into working with customers that you don't want to work with, because why would you be self-employed? Having territories can hinder growth. Now, having an area that you work is good. The good thing about having an area that you work is the smaller the area, the more compact your business is, the more profits you can make. I like to, when I work with independents, I like to run the major marketing for them within a 5-kilometre radius of their house. And so that way I know that if they're getting leads, they're not running across town. Now, with a franchise, they have territories. I know that these days the territories are fairly loosely enforced, but it still limits you. If you've got a franchise in one area, then you move to another, you may run into problems here. Or if you decide that, you know, there's another place you'd rather be working, you may have problems there. The other thing to think about is that most franchises come with a 10-year agreement, and they have a right to renew. But the right to renew is normally it normally has to be agreed to by both parties, and this can be an issue because it's a way of the lawn mowing franchise to be able to finish you or finish up with you if they're not happy with the way that it's gone in the last 10 years. And you may say, oh yeah, that's fine, because if it doesn't run well in the last 10 years, I don't want to be with them anyway. But then you've also got this clause in your contract that's called a restraint of trade. And what that'll do is that'll stop you from working anywhere, you know, as a lawn mowing contractor for the next 12 months. And so you're really between a rock and a hard place. You've either got to stop working for a year. Well, that's your only choice if you want to remain in the industry and the franchise isn't willing to re-sign an agreement. Also, it can, I mean, if you're coming up to your 10-year agreement finishing, it can, yeah, it may affect the selling of your business. It may not. It depends on the franchise. Yeah, but another thing is that selling your business may be difficult because because the franchise needs to approve the buyer. Now, you may have somebody that's prepared to buy your business, but for some reason or another, the franchise doesn't like them. Well, if that's the case, you haven't got a sale. So, so it can be difficult. A lot of you know, and I sell when I sell lawn mowing businesses, I sell independent businesses. So, and they seem to sell quite quick. I mean, normally when I list a business, it normally sells within 4 weeks or so. But I've seen some of these franchise business hanging around for about 3 months or so. You know, while you know, some of them don't sell, and while they're waiting for a buyer. And so it's just it makes it quite a bit harder for you to exit. Now, as far as costs go, in order to set up a business, it's going to be hard because every country is different. But I'll talk about what I've found locally is that to set up a business, you've apart from buying, let's say, a vehicle and a trailer, and so we all know what they're worth, you're probably looking at spending about maybe a couple of $1,000s on equipment. And once you do, if you're going to go with printing, logo design and all that kind of thing, you probably and a website, you could probably chuck in another couple of $1,000s there. So you're looking at about $4,000 plus your costs. Whereas if you're going to buy a franchise, then you still have those costs, you don't have the branding costs because the franchise has already done that. So you still pay a couple of grand for equipment, but the other thing is that you need to pay a fee to join the franchise, and this fee I've seen it go from anywhere from 5K is a cheap one, right up to 20, 25. Some of them are 50, but that's normally the really, really large landscaping companies. So that's quite a hefty fee to get in, and unlike when you're buying or selling lawn mowing contracts, like if I sell, $15,000 worth of contracts, that I know that the guy that bought it can work it for a year and he can sell it for the same amount. I can even resell it for him if he wants. But problem with the franchise is that money all goes into the never. You're never going to get that back. You'll get you'll get some of it back, but you won't get back what you put in. So the next thing to look at is do you buy Greenfield or do you buy an established business? Now, what a Greenfield is a Greenfield is a business that hasn't been built yet. So it's a franchise without any lawns, and it means that you need to build the franchise. They're a lot cheaper, but you need to build the franchise. And once you've built the franchise, you're working it, but at the end of the day, it's not yours. The lawns belong to the franchise, not you. So you can work them, but at the end of the day, they are the franchise's lawns. If you gave up, then the franchise would just take those lawns. So you're not really building a business for yourself. If you're buying an established business, then you know exactly what you're buying. You know what the turnover is. And normally with a franchise, it's a lot safer buying an existing business with a franchise than it is buying it privately. I am going to do a video on how to buy a lawn mowing business privately, and because that can be fairly dangerous. But with a franchise, you're fairly safe. You basically get what you pay for, and they've normally I'm not saying that the lawns that you're going to buy off them are going to be good, but you'll get a business. The other thing that you should do is do a little bit of due diligence. Do some research on the company that you're about to do business with, because the rule of thumb, and if you ever do business management training, the rule of thumb that they tell you is that you should be spending an hour for every $1,000 you're going to invest in a business. So if you're going to spend 10 grand on a business, you should be researching the business for about 10 hours. And what you should be looking for is you should be looking for anything that's not quite right. What I'd do if I was going to buy a franchise is I'd actually just pull out the phone book and I'd ring a few of the franchises and ask them how they're finding it. Sit there and just ring half a dozen and see how you go. The franchise is going to give you some contact numbers to contact to get referrals, but you probably want to use your own. Just look through the phone book and use your own numbers, because they're going to give you numbers of happy customers. And we all have happy customers. We all have people that'll rave about our businesses. But what you want to do is you want to find out what people generally think. So I would suggest that you ask a few questions, ring around. Now, there is a place that I know that has a list of 250 questions that you can ask a franchisor, and I'm going to put a link to that at the bottom of this video, so you can always go and check that out if you want. And also just be careful with that franchise agreement. Make sure that you go through it, make sure that you understand what it's saying, and make sure that you agree with it. So that's basically all I've got to say about buying a franchise. If you have any questions, just ask me, and I'm going to be back in my next video, I'll be talking about whether you should buy an independent business, and if you are going to buy an independent business, how you should go about doing it, what the pros and cons are, what you should be looking for. How do you know that the guy's actually telling you the truth? So thanks for coming along today, and have fun mowing lawns out there, and I'll catch you in the next video.